So, Al.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the historics of this.
Okay.
Now, today's music gospel music has turned into what? Choir, praise team, groups. Where are we right now? What do you think the flow is today?
Honestly, with all seriousness, I think there's a huge shift, not in reverse, but in revolution, or revolving, if you will. Not revolution as far as revolt, but a coming back or a returning to something that should never have been set aside in the first place. With the dismantling, and I say that loosely, of the choir, the dismantling of the quartet group, I think some leaders have realized they actually, in an effort to progress, was digressing because they were losing people and their purpose and function. So I believe that there's going to be a huge surge of choir music and quartet music because it stimulated, reached out, and identified with so many people. More than we realized as before, because, you know, when something is new, everybody wants it, or at least everybody's checking it out. Then they compare it, and they say, well, I missed that. I missed that.
Yeah.
So historically, the choir, the traditional music, the spirituals, as they would call it, they had more significance than we realized because of how it impacted the lives of the parishioners, both the participants in the choir as well as those as listening. The songs had substance, not because they were so eloquently written with lyrics, but because they were so potent with power as they connected to the hearts and the minds of the people.
That's good. That's good stuff.
Historically, you may have had the soloist who was talented enough to sing with power and with emphasis from their heart or their soul, hence soul music. Now it's about ability and accuracy that they're so focused on being excellent in their craft, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but you lose the purpose of this genre of music. If they can't feel you, they're not going to hear you.
They're not going to hear you. That is true. That is true. So there's a spiritual reception that needs to happen.
Yes.
In a performance on stage or wherever they are, or on their CD, that the audience, the listener needs to get. They need to receive this spirituality first.
You can sound bad, but if they can feel you when you sing.
Yes, I've heard
James Brown, nobody can even understand him.
Yeah,
but they could feel him.
Yeah. And
please. Whatever, I don't know what else came out.
Yeah, right. And he stayed solid.
Yes.
He stayed true to
himself.
The game. Okay, right. And he lasted a long time because he stayed true.
Look at Al Green.
Yeah.
Nobody sounds like him. He was true to himself.
You're true to himself.
Think about James Cleveland. He was true to himself.
Right.
Many laughed at his style of playing or his ability to keep time. But he was true to himself, and people could feel what he did.
Absolutely.
Milton Brunson was true to himself. He was very meticulous about what songs made those albums. He kept a solid system.
He did.
He was meticulous. Jesse Dixon.
Yeah.
Even though he actually bridged the gap, as you mentioned earlier. Black people forgot about him.
Yeah.
But he bridged the gap.
He did.
Andre Crouch, still, to this day, he's still relevant, not because he was revolutionary, which he was, but he was relevant because they could feel his music, and his lyrics had substance, and his music composition had cohesion with his lyrics. And it wasn't just, let me place this chord here, or this will be a good place to drop this accent.
Right.
No, it complemented.
Right.
So it had longevity. It wasn't, what's the word, trendy. It was trend setting.
Andre Crouch set what we call classics, or standards, that is. He set a standard. So when that's very difficult to do for an artist now, or a songwriter, to write a standard, something that will be like a hymn. Once a song gets into the hymn book, that means it stands the test of time. Okay?
Every musician would know it.
Everyone
That's what makes
would know
it a standard.
That's what makes it know it. A standard. Yeah. And it's something that it's ringing in your head. You can't get it out. Your grandkids can't get it out years later. Okay,
yes.
It's a standard. And what he did was, Andre Crouch did a wonderful feat by his songs went across racial lines, okay, and cultures. His songs were
generations,
in different languages and what have you. Unfortunately, you remember they used to have what's called Wraith Records back in the day, and Motown was very, very got hit by that a lot because what they did was they
Chess records.
Yes, they put the white faces on the covers, but when you played it, you knew they were black. Okay, and they did that because at the time rock and roll, the parents at that time didn't care for the rock and roll because rock and roll for them then was like hip hop for us today.
Wow,
it was a cultural thing, and those parents who were listening to Burt Bacharach music. And listening to, old Red Eyes from, what's the name?
Pink Eye?
Blue Eyes, that's it.
Blue
Eyes.
No. Please, Paisano, please forgive me. I didn't mean to insult the great one.
Right.
Hold on and homage to
Frank
you.
Sinatra. That's the music they would used to listen to, and then when rock and roll came in the 50s, it became more of a, what do you call it when you go against...
That's rebellious music.
Rebellious. It was rebellious.
Yes, Ray Charles really caught it.
Yeah, he did.
He really caught it. They looked for every chance to arrest him.
They did.
For two reasons.
Yeah.
One, he was doing rock, but he had gospel all in and throughout.
Absolutely.
And so the blacks thought he was sacrilegious, and the whites thought he was just a demon for creating all of this movement within their children.
Right. And that's so history really was repeating itself.
Which it does.
Yes. Now you mentioned the thing about the choir coming back. We did the Curtis. You can find the D. Curtis Randall show here on UB and Praise on Saturdays, and he interviewed Fred Hammond a couple weeks ago.
Fred was in here.
Fred was he called in because they're on tour. They're on tour. Him and Donnie McClurkin, I believe, are doing the tour.
Yeah, I saw them at the casino.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was gracious enough to call in. At the casino. That's right. That's where they were. They were at the casino. They were. Now, of course, they were in the other room.
The venue,
yeah.
But I saw him in the casino.
Yeah. What? There was a restroom there.
Exactly. Donnie was singing "My Last $2."
Yeah. Something's wrong with him. And actually, I have that audio, and I'm going to play it next.
Donnie McClurkin singing "Last $2"?
No, not that one. The Fred Hammond interview.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he talked about that. The choir. That's what's coming back. When 911, the towers fell, a lot of the people ran back to the church.
That's right.
Everybody was shouting, "God bless America."
Yep.
Okay?
When trouble come, they call on Jesus.
Now, that lasted about a couple weeks. Okay? And then,
of course,
we're done mourning, so we can lead the church. And I think that's what's happening with the style of music. I think they're looking for something greater, or they're looking for what they used to have.
Impact.
And so the
not
word
impress, impact.
So the word talks about returning back to your first love.
Yes,
doing your first
works again,
all over again. And I
don't want to do her no more.
Yeah, you don't want. I don't want my first love. No, it's been tainted. I'm sorry. I
like the one I'm loving now.
All right, go, Mrs. Carter. She's jumping up for joy right now. So if you just tuned in, we are just shooting the breeze here, and we don't really have anything prepared today because I want to talk about.
We don't. Yes, we do.
No, we don't. Not today. Oh. I want to talk from our hearts about the music industry.
It's in my heart.
Okay, yeah. This is an introduction. Okay. To what's to come every Wednesday night. Just an introduction. So on the next coming Wednesday shows, we're going to be talking about a specific thing in the music industry. Okay? History. Let's go back, way back.
How far back? Mahalia?
Well, even far back to that. They had, back in the early days,
Dorsey.
They had the Renaissance era.
Ah, okay. Mozart.
Yeah, well, before that, it was slave songs.
Handel.
Negro spirituals. Yeah. When I'm talking about the 1600s, slave songs, Mozart. Now, I mean, you got me saying Mozart. Negro spirituals, okay? These slave songs. And these songs were message songs, weren't they?
They were cold, yeah.
Mm-hmm. They were cold? What do you mean by cold? What do you mean?
Follow the drinking gourd. Mm-hmm. Follow the drinking gourd. Mm-hmm. That was a song to let you know to look at the constellation of the drinking gourd, because the drinking cord was the Big Dipper.
I see.
And the Big Dipper, at the end of its handle, was a North Star, and it told you which direction to travel.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And they would sing that, or steal away,
sure.
steal away home.
And they break in your house.
long to stay here. So while they breaking in your house, they running to catch the Underground Railroad.
I see.
Where you going with that shovel? I'm digging a hole. Got to catch the Underground Railroad.
So these songs were message songs.
They songs that message.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And they were codes. Now this is from the 1400s on up to the 1600s. Then we had what's called Baroque.
Baroque?
Baroque.
Oh, broke. Yeah, I'm
Right,
broke. Mm-hmm.
right. If it ain't Baroque,
Don't fix it.
1600s to 1750. Then the classical period, what you getting ready, what you were talking about, the 1750 on up.
Okay.
Then we have what's called the Romantic era.
Nasty people.
Yeah, romantic. Okay, now watch this. Now we got what's called romantic music. It's not romantic for what we think romantic, meaning romance, lovers.
It's from Rome.
That's it. You are a history buff.
Rome.
Yeah, so there's Spanish, there's French. Okay,
it's
it's romantic.
Roman Empire.
There you go. Now, when we go into classical music, I noticed today a lot of the gospel artists, they have readopted the classical music sound in their songs now. Mm-hmm. And it's nothing to look at our wonderful
Richie.
brother. Yeah, Richard Smallwood.
Mm-hmm.
He did Total Praise.
Yeah.
He brought that orchestra in first.
Yeah.
Okay, now, he didn't kick it off. He didn't start this. Actually, I think who really kicked this off and made an impact was Hawkins. It was Edwin Hawkins.
It is.
He did this thing with the Oakland, California Symphony
Philharmonic
Orchestra.
Orchestra.
Yeah. And he redid "Oh Happy Day," and they came in with this prelude thing.
Yes.
And then so Richie came back years later, okay, and then did a prelude to his song as it's kind of like an ode to the Hawkins. But the African Americans didn't know what classical music was until we started watching cartoons. It was the cartoons that introduced us to classical music.
I don't know.
Yes, it is. Tex Avery.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
Tom and Jerry.
I gotta challenge that one because
Merry Melodies.
We had people of color composing and writing music because they traveled and they commuted across the world. And many of them influenced some of the sounds they have now. And if you pay close attention, you'll see musically the fusion between jazz and classical music.
Yes.
Because they were influenced by these African sounds and rhythms. Music, or his story, usually gives the Anglo-Saxon or the Grecian or the European perspective first. But you have a plethora of talented people who were involved in the creating of what we call classical music.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. We both are right. You know why?
Because we both right.
Yes. Because we as children in the 70s, we walked away from jazz.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we went funk.
Yes. All right. So we did not get a wonderful taste of classical music. We didn't get it. So we went funk, we went soul, we went all these other places. So the classical music, the cartoons that we watched,
Tex Avery, though, yes,
they introduced us
back
to the classical music. Dun, 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 dun. When the first time I heard that, you know what was on? It was on Bugs Bunny. Okay, so
kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit.
And PBS did a special on it. They said this is how young people of that time was introduced to classical music through cartoons. Absolutely. So you are absolutely right, and so am I. We're gonna go to a quick commercial.
It's your show, baby.
Yeah, it's my show.
No,
do what you want to do.
Oh no.
And we'll continue in this classical talk of whatever we're talking about.
Talk about music.
Yeah. As we wait on our guests to come in. And
hurry up, girl.
We're going to. Oh man, we're doing good, man. Because I got some stuff that I'm gonna talk about in the second hour about how what y'all need to do as artists out there to get your stuff out there.
Yeah,
okay.
Because we need to make some money.
Yeah. Okay, all right. This is the Sir Walter Jones Show.
ComEd presents the power of staying in the light. Having trouble juggling all your bills? Are you worried about the lights getting turned off? ComEd Care programs can help you keep the lights on. Care programs offer help to those facing financial hardships. All inquiries are confidential. To see if you qualify, visit ComEd.com/care or call 1-888-806-CARE. ComEd, powering lives. Grant amounts may vary while funds are available.